Good evening and welcome to the Scotiabank Pond. It's time for the OHL Cup-Semi Finals. It's game number one and it's the OMHA's York Simcoe Express taking on the GTHL's wildcard Don Mills Flyers here on Rogers TV. Hello everybody, good to see you at the rink. Bill Kanitis back with me, Mr. Peter Curtis. We're looking forward to this one, Pete. Let's start here with York Simcoe Express and what this team has been able to do over the course of this regular season. They win their regular season. They win the Silver Stick tournament. They win their playoffs, and they beat the Rebels in that Silver Stick. And this morning, the quarterfinal matchup was a doozy, going to overtime, where YSE, they had the Rebels number once again.
And just when you thought the competition would be better at the OHL Cup, they go undefeated. So a little bit of luck against the Rebels went a long way, but what a great season for York Simcoe. The great play in overtime on what has been an amazing Saturday. 3 overtimes in the quarterfinals, and York Simcoe makes it to the semis.
And for the Don Mills Flyers, Pete, well, there was a good chance they couldn't even be in this position. Their wild card game against Kitchener went to double overtime. They win that 4-3. Now it says Babbage online got credit for that one. I was told by the coaching staff it's Rhodes who deserves credit for getting that goal. So how about 3 wins in the round robin, 1 loss to Barrie, but it was a must win against the Mississauga Rebels, which they did to get their division, and then double overtime this morning as well.
Well, last night was essentially a playoff game, beating the Rebels, needing that victory to go first, and of course Dale Weiss and his speed, winning it all in overtime against the Toronto Red Wings. Shows you this team, they started slow in the GTHL season, but they have had a great run of it lately.
Yeah, it's been an absolute tear. So 3 wins and a loss, sandwiched by a couple of clutch double overtime victories. And you know what? I have to give credit to the Flyers, Pete, because I said in our first broadcast they were my wild card team out of the wild card. So thank you, Don Mills Flyers, for making me look good. If you know the drill when you tune in regularly on our GTHL broadcast, time to check out our spotlight players, and we'll begin with the York Simcoe Express, and it'll be their captain, Cameron Hillis. Pete, this guy has led this team in scoring. In fact, the league in scoring in the regular season, the playoffs, the Silver Stick, and he's got 6 points in 5 games in the OHL Cup.
You know what's really amazing is that he knows he's going to see extra attention, so he's still producing offense, even though he takes on the best defense score on the other team. And
for the Don Mills Flyers, Tyler Weiss, a couple of huge goals. That one on the breakaway in the quarterfinal. You just saw the overtime goal that he scored to bring them to exactly where they are. Tyler Weiss is a game changer for the Don Mills Flyers, a team that dealt with a lot of injuries early on in the season, Pete. Once they got healthy, their depth really started to come to the surface.
Well, this guy, I think of Dylan Larkin every time I see him. He's a fast skater. He uses it offensively and defensively, and of course, he played in the Youth Olympics for the American side, so shows you how good he is.
Now, Pete, this YSE team, you said it, the last team left in the OHL Cup, essentially, that hasn't lost a game in regulation. But this Don Mills Flyers team, not intimidated. I mean, they beat the Rebels to get to where they are. And the Rebels came in as one of the favorites here in the OHL Cup, the #1 ranked team on the final week of rankings before the tournament started. What are you expecting now in this first period between these two sides? Because you have to think YSE are going to come out flying.
They're going to come out flying, but I think they have to respect this Don Mills offense that we've seen in the OHL Cup. Remember, if the season had started November 1st, Don Mills would have been a lot better in the GTHL standings. They had injuries, roster issues. So really, don't look at their regular season tally. It's what they've done lately, and that's been really extraordinary.
All right, we've got a big puck drop coming up next. It's our first semifinal of 2 here on Rogers TV. The OHL Cup continues. All right, welcome back to the Scotiabank Pond. Moments away from puck drop here, so let's talk tendies before we get into it. And we'll begin with the York Simcoe Express getting the call. He was big in the quarterfinal overtime victory. Andre Berezynski.
Oh, Berezynski, very athletic, likes to rely on his reflexes. I love how active he is. People are always looking for the big goalie. You don't need one when you've got an active goalie like Berezynski.
And getting the start for the Don Mills Flyers. He started in 32 games in a row for the Flyers. The Sudbury native, Matthew Mayhew, and he had one huge highlight reel save. You can find it on Twitter, robbing one of the Mississauga Rebels players, but this guy has been a workhorse for the Flyers.
I think right now you can say workhorse, but he's on adrenaline. This team is hot. They're one win away from the OHL Cup final. They have a very experienced goalie there.
And here we go. McBain. Hillis. Draw one by the Don Mills Flyers as the two captains square off there. Here is big number 19, Jack McBain, leading the tournament with 8 assists, no goals, but he's been providing plenty of apples to the rest of the boys, as he's up there as one of the top point getters. Here comes Hillis. Watch out for his speed. It's a game changer as he tries that quick shot. That one gets blocked. Whitaker. He's such a tenacious, feisty forward. And Richard Whitaker, anytime there's a loose puck to be had, we saw it in the quarterfinals this morning, Pete. Whitaker is on loose pucks. He forechecks, he backchecks, he does just about everything.
Well, certainly he's riding on Hillis's line, and every top line needs someone that's going to go into the corner and win the puck for you, and that's exactly what Whitaker brings.
York Simcoe Express 26-4-4 in their regular season, first overall, scoring 200 goals in just 34 games, a plus 143. Yes, you heard me correctly. 143 goal differential, and that included a 17-0-3 start to their regular season. So they started hot. They just never slowed down this year.
Well, they've always been a powerhouse in the OMHA, and this year just showed. I mean, they've got the ability to draw some big names and some big players, and that regular season playoffs has been a great run.
There's Tyler Weiss. We should also add for Weiss, he is a gold medal winner representing Team USA out in Norway in the under-16 Olympics not long ago, so congratulations to him. His teammate Declan Chisholm with a silver medal. As here comes Gravel. Gravel hits the line, close to an offside rebound, kicked out. Nice stop there by Berezynski. That was real close to being offside, but play continues. Worked on the near side. That's center ice. Chisholm leaves it there for Wilson. A couple of express players on him. Here's McBroom. Stopped there by McDougall as Vuko on the outlet pass. There's the hero from overtime earlier. Robertson, he's looking to do it again, going end-to-end, centering pass, and just missing the empty net there was Vuko. And Carter Robertson showing us no fluke, the offensive skill set that he has after that beautiful game-winning overtime goal earlier this morning.
Well, Matthew Mayhew really over-pursues it, doesn't realize there really isn't a passing option, and almost left himself exposed there. We'll see if he gets comfortable. Remember, they played the quarterfinals in the morning, so the guys have done this before, 2 games in 2 days at a big tournament.
Chisholm spins off one forechecker. You can see York Simcoe Express very aggressive down low, forcing him to move the puck as that pass was behind McBain. Here comes Hillis once again. The captain picks up speed. Nice low shot. He was looking for a big juicy rebound to kick out. He got it. There's no teammate near the puck. This one's cleared out. Branston. Off the boards. Oh, pass, turnover. Vaughn scores! Don Mills Flyers open up the scoring on a poor pass up the middle that was intercepted rather easily. And Jaden Vaughn, his 4th goal of the tournament. That's a huge opening marker here for the Don Mills Flyers.
Well, you just don't see plays like this regular at the OHL Cup. Players are so used to sticking to their game plan, and you wonder if someone called for the puck there, Bill. I mean, we haven't seen a defenseman do that in a while, so either he heard something or just totally missed the Don Mills Flyers player standing in the slot.
These two teams have played one other time over the course of this season. It was early in the Toronto Titans' early bird, and that was won by York Simcoe Express. The Flyers, though, only had 5 healthy forwards. In fact, had to use a defenseman as a forward just to make up 2 lines. So this is a much different looking Flyers team than what YSE saw earlier. There's a quick shot by Foran. Back to McPherson. Foran scoring a power play goal earlier today in the quarterfinal matchup against the Rebels. That gave YSE a temporary 2-1 lead before Peter Stratus tied it up with about a minute to go on a Rebels power play of their own. And special teams were a difference maker for both sides in that quarterfinal matchup. Here's Swearin. Luke goes on to him, back checking hard. Robertson gets back to retrieve that puck. Shakes off one. Ian McLean. Saw him throw about 4 or 5 massive, clean body checks in that quarterfinal game. He really will throw his weight around, power forward for YSE as Chisholm comes back to pick up that puck. Quickly on the breakout. Here's McBroom. Out of the reach of Swearin. And now Marshall Waters will skate out with it. Waters to McLean. End of a long shift there. McBroom. Quick pass to Swearin. And he gets this one out and down the ice. Don Mills Flyers regular season 16-11-6. Slow start, as Pete mentioned, 8-7-2 in the first half of the season. But once they got healthy, they would finish the year on a 4-0-1 stretch before a tough matchup against the Junior Canadians in the first round of the playoffs. Saw the Canadians beat them in 7 games. Essentially, it comes down to a point system for the GTHL playoffs, Pete. So a win gets you 2 points. That was an 8-6 point victory for the Junior Canadians against the Don Mills Flyers. Tough first round matchup, could have gone either way.
And we knew it would be that close. The interesting fact was the GTHL had, from games 1 through 4 in the first round, those players who were going to Norway to represent Canada were here. So the series kind of ended missing some key players on both the Flyers and Junior Canadians.
In fact, it was so close, Pete. Don Mills scored 19 goals in that series. Junior Canadians, they scored 19 goals in that series as well.
Well, it showed you that this Don Mills team could shut down that Junior Canadians offense, the very vaunted offense.
There's a drop pass by Hillis. Whitaker was creeping in. Now a chance for DeVoe. A couple of taps there to St. John. Don Mills Flyers will start from behind their own net. 9 minutes to go now in the first period. Jaden Vaughn with the lone goal. On a turnover, an uncharacteristic one you don't see YSE doing too often. Now a chance, a 2-on-2 rush. Here's Weiss. Oh, that snapshot doesn't miss by much. He had 2 goals in that quarterfinal one, including the big game winner. Now he stick handles to the front, his pass, nobody home. Goss comes back the other way, 3-on-2 rush for the Express. He's got Foran with him, low shot, hoping for a rebound. It's there, kicked out. Mayhew, a couple of nice saves, and Weiss is first to the puck to recover on the breakout. They get it out off a YSE leg, so there will be no icing, doesn't reach either way. York Simcoe Express in their OMHA playoff tournament, undefeated, Pete. 5 straight victories, scoring 21 times in those games, only allowing 7 goals against. Just a model of sort of the perfection that their season has been.
Oh, the OMHA, they get together and play a championship. They bring in both conferences, like we like to say, the SCTA and the ETA, while the GTHL is still doing the traditional playoffs. So it's always a battle versus, you already played one high intense tournament. Will that get you ready for the OHL Cup as well?
And in that final, York Simcoe Express, they beat the Hamilton Junior Bulldogs, who lost this morning in the quarterfinals against the Toronto Marlies. That was a 5-2 victory for YSE in that clinching game. As YSE right now a little hesitant, making a few plays with the puck that we're not used to seeing. But it was a bit of a slow start against the Rebels as well. Tentative, so to speak, earlier this morning. Even the game I saw in the round robin against the Toronto Red Wings, it was Berezinski who stood on his head until YSE got going. Here are all 3 of our overtime goals from this morning. 3 of the 4 quarterfinals. That was Weiss for the Flyers, Robertson for YSE. And what an individual effort by Boone to get it across to Nizhnikov. He had the wide open net. Junior Canadians beating another wild card team in Quinty Red Devils, who had a great showing. Here's a centering pass, quick shot, and that one stopped by Mayhew.
Well, the one thing that we've noticed with York Simcoe through this tournament, and even in the first period, Bill, one of the fastest teams. And that's easy to say. They were so dominating in the OMHA. They're the OMHA champs. But certainly, you look at a guy like Whitaker, low number 3. You don't expect number 3 to be a fast skater. He's got speed. You look at what Robertson did in overtime. All of these guys seem to have amazing speed, and that is something that already you see Don Mills kind of hanging back, waiting to engage them. They don't want to get into a track meet with the Express.
And you mentioned Whitaker, another guy. Whitaker and McDougall, two guys that play a power forward style, but they're great skaters. It's a nice luxury for YSE to have.
Well, the one thing the Flyers have going for them, I mean, they are on this amazing run, relatively healthy, and that says a lot too when you look at
this one's turned over. And yes, health was a big concern for them. People were wondering at the start, this was a team struggling, didn't even hold a playoff position at one point, Pete, near the bottom, as Hillis' shot goes wide. And they worked their way out in a big way once they got going. Guys like Rhodes, Weiss, DeVoe, McBain, the captain, Chisholm. There's a lot of depth on this Don Mills Flyers team. They've gone under the radar, but no more, as they are one of the Final Four teams at the OHL Cup, and they'd like to make it back-to-back appearances in the final for this Don Mills Flyers franchise. There's a quick shot by Whitaker, stopped by Mayhew. As we remember from a year ago at Mattamy, it was the Don Mills Flyers taking on the Toronto Marlies, and Don Mills at the time with a couple of big players, none bigger than David Levin, going #1 overall in the OHL draft for Sudbury. They had Brett Newman on that team, now playing for the Erie Otters. So a bunch of big names on that Flyers team, and these guys would like to replicate their success. Here is Weiss. Picks up speed. He's been playing with a lot of confidence of late. There's Foran right on him. Reese Foran, his job in the morning. Anytime Riley Damiani was on the ice, you saw Reese Foran. But that's what we liked about his versatility, Pete. He scores a big goal on the power play, and he gets right back out in a shutdown role. Whatever's needed of him, he's a very smart hockey player. As Rhodes gets the pass across, here's Yan on the backhand. That one stopped by Berezynski, who stretches across. Great chance there for the Flyers once again, almost to take a 2-goal lead here over YSE.
Oh, Yan's got to look to elevate the puck here. You're in the Final Four of the OHL Cup. All of the goalies are going to shut down the bottom. They all have the ability to go post to post. You got to take it up a next step and try and beat the goaltender up high.
That was gloved by Berezynski. Let's check out that chance that you were talking about. And yeah, if that one gets elevated, there's a lot of room up there.
I mean, Berezynski was already there waiting for him, so he already guessed right. Now you've got to go upstairs. That's what the scouts are always talking about. It's easy to go on the breakaway. Now you've got to find a way, breakaway and elevate the puck.
As McDougall won the draw, but falling on that puck was Mansurov. So we'll redo it just to the right of Andre Berezynski. He's been stellar in net, to say the least, for York Simcoe Express. Under 5 to go now in this first period. Still that 1-0 lead. Here at the Pond, it's semi-final OHL Cup action. Glad you're tuning in here on Rogers TV. And the final will be Monday night on Sportsnet, or head down to the Mattamy, aka Old Maple Leafs Gardens. You can catch the game for free. It was a lot of fun a year ago. Here is Waters. Around the boards to McPherson. Bit of a sluggish start here for YSE. The passes aren't connecting. The legs don't seem to be moving much. Not like what we saw against the Rebels. I'm sure it's easy to get the adrenaline up when you play in what many consider to be the main event there in the quarterfinal.
Well, you have the two teams, the Rebels and Marlies, still to play the GTHL final. So we know York Simcoe's season is going to end tonight or on Monday night. And of course the other two teams, the Marlies and the Rebels, because of the GTHL, looked at the schedule with the Youth Olympics and said this is a unique year, so the final will take place after the OHL Cup. So how much would the Don Mills Flyers like to get in that final? They're not in the GT final, but to be OHL Cup champions and make some noise, that's definitely a goal of theirs.
We've only had, I've mentioned on previous broadcasts, Pete, one other wild card winner in the OHL Cup, and that was when Sean Monahan put the Rebels on his back and they beat the Toronto Marlies.
Well, like we said, that was a long time ago when Monahan and two Bantam call-up goaltenders pretty well stole the tournament. I mean, no one really knew how great Sean Monahan was until that tournament, and the big reach, the offensive skills, he carried the offense. And you look at all the kids that have played in this tournament, Bill. I mean, save a program, because there's so many names that just in a few years, you're talking NHL first-round draft picks.
Every year, Pete. 5 years ago, you had McDavid. 4 years ago, Dylan Strome. Every year, as here's a chance now for YSE. Centering pass, McKim, who's been the go-to guy for goals for YSE. Matthew McKim, 5 goals, no assists in the 5 games, so he's been scoring a ton of important ones there, but didn't really get a good shot off as Mayhew was in pretty good positioning. Matthew Mayhew, born and raised in Sudbury, moved to Toronto to play hockey, or he's playing hockey now since he moved, rather, for the Don Mills Flyers, as Rhodes, the speedster, after McPherson, loses an edge. Centering pass, Weiss. Dangerous line, Rhodes and Weiss, they can wheel. 2 speedsters who can skate. YSE looking to counterattack the other way. Pass for Foreign. He tried to send it across on his backhand, worked around by Gauze. St. John, top of the circle, McHenry. Foreign protects the puck, and here goes Weiss. Weiss sneaks past a couple, in all alone, Weiss! Oh, what a save! Berezynski gets across with the glove hand and robs Tyler Weiss. What an individual effort, though, to find a way past 3 York Simcoe Express players.
Well, it looks like York Simcoe just doesn't realize who they're dealing with. They're flat-footed, they're not skating. And Berezynski, we talked about in the pregame, athletic, reflexes. He reacts to that one, scoops it up. It wasn't put in his glove. He put his glove out there and snatched it out of the air.
There's a hit thrown by Wilson at the other end of the ice. Quick shot coming back on Mayhew. Starting to see the speed pick up a little bit here, though, once they get their legs going. One thing you don't want to do, Pete, is underestimate this Flyers team. They got past London. There's a chance in front. Wilson, they're hoping for the sticks to go up in celebration, but Berezynski holds on. So Don Mills, they start this tournament, we mentioned, double overtime win over Kitchener in the wild card. Doesn't get any easier from there. Then they deal with London, who finished first in the regular season, finalists in the Alliance Championship. They beat London 6-2. Then Elite Hockey, they lose to Barrie. So they had to beat essentially the #1 ranked OHL Cup team just to make it into the quarterfinals. As right off the draw, there's a quick chance. That one is stopped, and we'll get another icing. So they've been playing in these big game situations all tournament long.
Well, it was interesting because the two first round losers there were going to get the wild card, and then the format changed in the GTHL. The 4 first round losers played 2 series, and that was just to get into the wild card. And then all of a sudden, the OHL Cup said all 4 teams are good enough.
Off the draw, takes a crazy bounce off Berezynski and goes wide.
And all of a sudden, those teams were told they were all going to be in the OHL Cup with the wild card. So an advantage for the Flyers was, even though they lost in the first round, they played another 8-point series in between losing and the OHL Cup. So they've kept their game legs going.
There was Cameron Hillis trying to use that speed to take it wide. Hillis led the OMHA in scoring 72 points in 34 games for YSE. Easily taking the points title in the OMHA. And then, of course, as we mentioned, he led the OMHA championship tournament in scoring and the silver stick as well. So Cameron Hillis all year long, model of consistency, as Chisholm skates it out cleanly. Past a couple, Rister in on target while his teammates change. Weiss Nice play, strips him of the puck, drops it there again. Anticipated defenseman being behind him. Babbage was going the other way, but Babbage brings it in nicely. Quick wrister high and over the net. 50 seconds remain now in this first period. Here's Weiss to Rhodes. Near the face-off circle, his shot deflects into the near corner. Weiss gets his pocket picked there by McHenry. Here comes Goss. Across Foreign. Just couldn't get to that one in time. Throws it towards the net, off the side of the net. And now Babbage will clear this one out. Here comes Weiss again, going for another skate. He's got it going in another gear, but there was Foreign right on him to strip him of the puck. Tyler Weiss, 3 goals, 4 assists. Coming into this one. But no goal bigger than the double overtime winner against the Toronto Red Wings, as first period in the books. And on a turnover, the only goal Don Mills Flyers make the York Simcoe Express pay. It was Jaden Vaughn. Otherwise, I think right now, a little sluggish for YSE. Don Mills Flyers have to be happy here with how they're playing against another top-ranked team.
Well, time of possession, I'll give York Simcoe the advantage, but in terms of scoring opportunities, this Don Mills Flyers team, the giveaway that turns into a goal, and of course the 2 breakaways, they've had the better opportunities.
All right, let's check out our first period highlights as players line up along the benches with their coaches, going over a few things before we start the second period. And here it was, right in front, easy, right on the tape of Jaden Vaughn as the Don Mills Flyers celebrate. Let's have another look at it from behind the net. Just a perfect shot on Berezynski, who tried to come out and cut the angle. Otherwise, a couple chances for YSE. Matty Mayhew's been good once again, as he has been all tournament long.
Well, the 2 big saves there on the breakaway. This is the one where York Simcoe's just standing still, and their goaltender Berezynski goes out of his way, pulls out the big glove, and that's one that you look back a little bit later. And this was interesting, Bill, because a lot of people were saying, oh, this Don Mills team coached by Daniel Bachner, they can't skate with York Simcoe. Well, we saw in this first period, they are creating a lot of issues on the forecheck for this York Simcoe team. So never underestimate your opponent. We know York Simcoe hasn't, but some of their fans thought, okay, this one looks like it's going to be a little bit easier. They were calling it the upset over the Rebels and figuring, okay, you got your one upset and now you've got an easy game. So a real interesting result so far.
You know, I saw that on Twitter and online, upset of the Rebels. I wouldn't call it that, Pete, as there's a big bounce off the glass, net comes off. I wouldn't call that an upset. We just went over the resume of what YSE has done. I mean, this team is legit, and some people expected perhaps Rebels and YSE to make it to the finals, but Rebels losing that game to the Flyers really cost them a chance at winning that division.
And you called them number 1 ranked, and that's the OHL Cup rankings. So they're in the GTHL final. They finished second,
yes,
by 1 point less than the Toronto Marlies, 2 points there. So really, the number 1 rankings now, they mean nothing, because we saw what happened when York Simcoe played the Rebels.
Face-off one, shot went wide, gives a chance for Hillis to Whitaker. His snapshot goes off Mayhew and into the netting. Out of play. And hey, the Don Mills Flyers, they beat the Rebels at this tournament in the regular season. They upset the Marlies. They've beaten the Junior Canadiens. So this team has confidence. They believe in themselves. And they've embraced the underdog title. Nothing to lose.
Well, they were actually calling themselves the underdogs at the start of the year when they were talking about some of the issues they had in being full rostered. And I don't think you and I even did a game during the regular season where we weren't scratching someone's name off due to a hockey injury